Good evening, everybody. I'd like to hear a motion to start our meeting at 6:04 p.m.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is called to order at 6:04. Members present.
Alicia Greco, Select Board.
Lucian Densmore.
Celine Muldowney.
Mike Volpone.
David Broll.
Mark Sant.
Cindy Currier, COA representative.
Thank you very much. Reading of the previous meeting's minutes. So Mark sent out earlier today, sent out both copies of the last 2 minutes.
Can you just list the dates?
Yep. Give me a second. Two meetings were from May 2nd and May 23rd, our last 2 minutes. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding to them? Any edits?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written for May 2nd.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That minute's passed. Now for May 23rd, any discussion? Do I hear a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Both minutes are passed. Thank you, Mark, very much. I appreciate that. All right. The next section, we have outstanding minutes that need to be reviewed as well. We have 7 sets of minutes from 6/17/2019. I'm going to go over these individually, and vote on them individually, but I'm just making sure we understand ahead of time.
Do we have copies of those?
This was sent to us last month. Alicia sent them.
Alicia.
Alicia sent them after
I
the
see
meeting.
your email, I'm looking at
I think it's
Tell you the date.
May 23rd.
23rd, the day of the meeting.
Which email did you send it to?
Hold on.
I'll wait before I proceed. You resent it out because I couldn't do it.
Mark Sant at AOL.com.
M-A-S-A-N-D-T?
MASANDT at
And what date was
AOL.com.
this?
May 23rd.
May 23rd. I have that from Alicia.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the attachments.
It's, you have to
Oh,
go
that's Gary
down.
Bottom, my mistake.
Yeah, you
My
have to go down.
mistake.
You have to
See
go
it?
down.
Okay, yeah.
All
You
right.
have to go down.
So the 7 sets of minutes we'll do individually. The first was from 6/17/2019. The second was from 7/2/2019. 11/4/2019. 1/23/2020. 3/2/2020. 4/21/2021. And 10/4/2021. So individually, we've all received it. If there's any questions, so for minutes on June 17th, 2019, do I hear a motion to accept? I can't make the motion.
You're not, okay.
I motion.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
I haven't read them, so I can't, I'm not gonna vote on this one.
Okay. So on 6/17, are there any discussion, comments, or anything? I personally went through them. I did not have any issues, and I want to thank the town for, was it Julie?
No, these are all your marks.
Oh, these
They
are
just never
marks,
got
huh?
voted.
Yeah, and okay, then I didn't have any problems with the minutes at that point, so. I didn't have any problem, but if, any other discussion regarding June 17th?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That meeting's passed. Next is July 2nd, 2019. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, on January 23rd, 2020, do I hear a motion to accept? Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Do I hear any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next is March 2nd.
You skipped 11-4. You had 11-4.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you for catching me. I back up. 11/4 of 2019. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now I'm going back to March 2nd, 2020. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of March 2nd, 2020?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we just change it from pays to paid under bill schedule 336.7 to be pays, P-A-I-S, isolating to paid.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept, Mark, do you want to make that as a motion to amend the minutes?
I make a motion to amend the minutes to correct that spelling error.
Okay. Do I hear a second on Mark's motion?
Second.
All right. This is voting on Mark's motion right now to accept the amended minutes, and then I'll vote on it. We'll vote the minutes after. So do I hear all those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, with the amended minutes, do I hear a motion? We already have a motion on the floor. So do I hear all those in favor accepting the amended minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those passed. Now for the two for 2021. The first is from April 21st, 2021. Am I right? Okay, just making sure I'm not losing my mind.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of April 21st, 2021?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The last is from October 4th, 2021. Do I hear a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 7 minutes have been passed.
Thank you.
Plus the two, the other
So
9.
I'll get these to Julie and have her upload them.
Okay. We just got the outstanding ones we gotta finish up at that point.
Yeah, at this point, do you want me just to have her?
If she can, that would be wonderful,
She can watch
yeah.
them and I'll have her make them.
If we get them done before the end of the month,
Are you having another meeting?
that'll be a question we have a little farther down the line. We haven't
Okay.
decided on that yet.
Okay.
Correspondence. I have received an email from from Joe Pollock. He had sent an email to the town and then it was sent out to the Recreation Committee, which I thought we were all wrong, so I apologize. I thought we were all getting that email. Hello, I'm looking to see if there's availability for the basketball court rental at Mantis Field. My name is Joe Pollock and I coach girls 8th grade Triton Youth Basketball. We're playing in a summer league and looking to reserve some court space during the weeknights this June and July. So that's a request that's being done. We have not finalized the application process, so at this point, am I correct? And Mark, I usually go to you for this one. Do they need anything right now, or are we gonna, because until it gets approved, which hopefully we'll have done, when are you meeting next?
Next Tuesday.
You could have it for that. We would have got it on the agenda anyway at this point, so.
But the 28th is our next meeting after that.
Can we approve it without a fee involved with it?
We can. Right now, we can't charge a fee, we don't have a fee in place. Am I correct in that statement?
Yeah, we can't ask to pay anything if we don't have a rate for it.
So my response back to them is gonna be, Joe's not here, is he? Okay,
No.
just wanna make sure, I hadn't met Joe, so I just sent me this today. My response back to him is gonna be, yes, you can reserve it. There is no fee at this point. We're in the process of finalizing this. We hope to have it done by the 28th of June. And if it does, I said, then there'll be a fee of X, what we're projecting to send out. And I'll copy the group on the email. Does that sound acceptable?
I struggle with the idea of if we don't have any documentation about the reservation process in place for that, to allow them to reserve space. I'm all for it, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong.
Oh, no.
But procedurally, if nobody else knows that they can reserve it, and we're telling them they can reserve it, but nobody else can.
Actually, we can't reserve it right now because they want it in June, just realized they want it in June. We don't have anything in place, so if they, whatever they want, until we have it in place,
They can,
Okay.
like the fields, non-permit holders can use the facilities at no cost until a permit holder who has non-exclusive use of it comes in and uses it, takes it over.
That's good that there's interest in it, though, no?
yeah. Well, that was the whole point. We were hoping, and this will hopefully start things back up too, so. All right. I will email Joe after this meeting and copy everybody on what we just discussed. I did receive an email from the office saying our mailbox was full. They were nice enough to leave us this right here, so if anybody would like to peruse the Parks and Recreation Summit Supply product catalog from Little Tikes Commercial, Game Time, Enriching Childhood Through Play, and Gopher, a product guide. So they're sitting right here. If they're here at the end of the meeting, I'll throw them out after. There was one other email from Lindsay in the office regarding the final amounts to be sent to Triton Youth Lacrosse and Triton Youth Soccer that I have to present to them. I thought that was already sent, but it wasn't, so I will get it done. And I will copy the group. Mark, you had the conversation with, or you sent an email out to Rush regarding to their comments from last month?
Yes.
Okay. You're here for,
I was told to show up, just kind of hang out.
At last meeting, I was instructed to notify our current permit holders about the changes to the facility guide,
mhm,
and that's on the agenda under old business, so
yep,
we can have them discuss that.
okay. That's all I have for correspondence, bills and claims?
There was a Gmello bill, but I can't remember if I mentioned that at the last meeting or not.
You did.
About 175.
Yep.
And they'll pick up on
160.
160.
Okay.
They'll pick up on Wednesday as usual. It's full now, busy weekend. Going forward, next fall season and next spring season, I'll ask them to pick up on Monday if possible. They've been doing Wednesday because they're already in Byfield on Wednesday.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's something that they are amicable to, or if there's going to be an additional cost, but I'll follow up on that beginning of next spring, next fall season.
Okay, thank you.
There's nothing on that dumpster that says no home trash or anything like that. Is that something, like, every time I go there on Monday,
Oh, it's-
it's chock full of
Isn't it awful?
Yeah.
stuff that is not from soccer and lacrosse?
Well, I think lacrosse had a lot there, but there's household goods there. That has been a problem. We have asked DPW to chain it and unlock it on, chain it like on Wednesday afternoons, because usually they're there in the morning, and then lock it, or unlock it Tuesday night, unlock it, get it straight, Mark. Unlock it Tuesday night,
Mhm.
pick up on Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, lock it back up. They have been doing that.
Mm.
They wouldn't, organizations, if they had a big event, wouldn't be able to stuff big bags full of stuff. The way the cover is bent, you can have, it's about 8 inches, 12 inches, Dave, that you can stuff bigger bags in, so
Yeah.
it's not 1 bottle or 2 bottles at a time.
Mhm.
You can stuff enough in there to keep it from overflowing. But household trash is a problem,
Yeah.
not just at that site, because when that is locked up, it ends up on Central Street between School Street and Birch Lane.
Yeah, it's gross.
Mhm.
Trash over there and the stuff that's in there.
It's contained.
Yeah, it's
It's not
true.
like you've had to pick up before, so.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense that people think that that's acceptable.
Yeah.
It's $3, to throw out a plastic bag, so. or two, so.
It's $1 for a white bag and it's $3 for the big ones.
So it is.
Yes. Old business. Finalized policy to present to the select board, so I will get that back to everybody. I apologize, we've been a little crazy. Just getting the last of that formatted, so we'll get that over and I'll ask Tracy to put it on the agenda for the 28th.
Well, can we see the final copy? And I know that people are here to discuss it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we can certainly go through it. I'm just saying the final copy, because we have the formatted version. I mean, I just need to clean up the format, but the version we have,
But
do you have?
But don't we need to have it go through town council first to see what
Okay.
changes, and then
Probably.
All right,
and then we should look at it before we give it to the select board to.
well, that's, we're gonna have to probably schedule one more meeting then. Do you think town council can flip it pretty quick, or?
I can ask.
Because if not, we're not
So
gonna
we'll
get it,
be ready for the 28th, can we do it the meeting in July, or?
if that's what the committee decides to at that point. But I'll get it formatted and I'll get it over to, just send it to Tracy, and Tracy can
And the
represent
sooner
it.
the better,
Yeah.
because we can kick it to town council and then wait for that.
Okay. But regarding the changes to the policy, a lot of it is just gonna be in regards to the fee structures is changing, and I think that was really the major change. Currently, right now, in-town groups are paying $6, and the amount's going to 10, and the for-profit groups is currently 15, and it's going to 25, correct me if I'm wrong. The basketball courts will be going to a 25 and 50?
I think that's what it was.
I'm pretty sure this is the numbers we gave.
Okay, can you repeat that again for?
6 to 10, and then 15 to 25.
Okay. What we have right now is for Group A is $10, Group B $25.
Yes.
Group C is the weekend and holiday events where they take up those bills. We do not have anything free for town residents. So town residents, according to our charts, will be $10 an hour, as well as we don't make any exceptions to town agencies.
Well, we don't have anything in there right now?
Not the document that I'm looking at.
All right, well then we need to discuss that then real quick, because I thought groups like the Council on Aging, you guys were,
Yeah, we already,
I thought that was already in place, but if you're saying it's not, then I apologize, we need to make sure that's set there. Any town agency
is free.
is considered free.
I thought that was in,
I thought that was Group A.
Is that for the policy for the field house, or is that for?
For the fields, the field house, the court, everything.
The document,
yeah,
Town of Newbury, Central Street Recreational Environmental Resource Area Use of Facilities, 3.3, Section 3, that was just printed out. Facility use framework, it had field house, parking lot and field house. Group A has Newbury residents for personal use, Triton Regional District, organizations and clubs, Friends of the Library, Friends of the Council on Aging, all of that would be 25. And that was Group A. We had nothing for, because originally we had Newbury residents for personal use free, and two town departments, committees, and boards would be free as well.
That's what it should be.
I always thought it was in there, but when I was looking at the formatting again, it was I don't know if it was to be added at formatting or not, but the
All
document
right,
that I.
then I'll make sure when we go through, I'll go back through it, and then we'll have to take another swing through it. So this is pretty safe that we're not, if we're gonna have to make another run at this unless you have the ability to jump this back on. But I didn't bring a computer. So this is not gonna get done before the end of the fiscal.
And then the other major change is, again, with that, it's applicants for the permit will be considered upon submission of the application, including a 50% deposit, which we hadn't had before.
Okay,
And that would help resolve some of the issues that we are currently facing. And just for those people who are current permit holders, just so you're aware, we are moving to a online reservation system. I don't know when that's going to be up. We'll talk more about it later on in the schedule. But just so you're aware that we're moving to a more efficient means. I don't know if we'll be able to provide trainings to them or not, so that it's a seamless transition from the paper to. Let's see. The other one was, the other big thing is the dates involved. The fall season, which is approximately 8/18 August to November 15th, with an application opening the 15th of June. And then applications are due by the 3rd, and we issue it within the week by the 10th, so you know that your fall season is secured. Again, going back to, this way we don't have to do any last minute stuff in August. The spring season would be approximately April 1st through June 15th, with the applications opening up the 1st of December. Applications are due by the 15th of January, and we would make a decision by the 10th of February.
Is there any change to who gets in line first, depending on application status, based if they're a town or if they're a profit business, or any changes to that corporate regulation?
Mike, you want to respond for that?
No, there is no change in that regard. It's still going to the same groups where the priority goes to councils such as the Council on Aging, anything that's inside the group, and then to the youth programs inside the town, and then to the nonprofit groups after that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We've kept that consistent.
Yeah, the current order adopted was the town committees or departments such as the Council of Aging. 2 would be New Era residents for personal use. Number 3 is seasonal permit holders, such as Triton Youth Soccer. Number 4 is Triton Regional School District organizations and clubs. 5 is established Friends of Newberry organizations, such as the Friends of the Town Library, Council of Aging, Friends of the Council of Aging. 6 is Triton Youth Sports non-permit holders, such as Triton Youth Hockey, if they, or, this is for the field, but it could also include Triton Youth Basketball if they wanted to use the fields for an end-of-year celebration. And number 7 is other.
Thank you.
And then the summer season is approximately June 16th to 8/17. And again, these are flexible depending on where it falls in the day of the year. We would have to work together if it falls over a day. What that really means is, as opposed to a separate application for a whole season, or as we can extend it. Applications open February for the, this doesn't make sense. The applications, it says February 1st, but they due January 15th. My suggestion is that the application opens for the summer December 1st and be on the 15th as well, so that we can do both the spring and the summer at the same meeting.
The fee schedule is not online. The fee schedule.
The new fee
The
schedule?
new fee schedule is not
No.
online yet, no, because we haven't been approved yet.
Okay.
All
It's
right.
just the existing one right now, that's why we need to
I
get
don't
that.
even see the old one on here. Maybe they took it down because you were updating it?
Not that I'm aware of.
The fee schedule, I don't believe was ever put on that application, or, no, it wasn't put on the fee schedule, it was not put on the document for the policies. Now, if you look
Okay.
on the application, there is some numbers
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And
Sorry,
the permit
Roger.
permit issue would also be by February 10th for the summer, so that anybody using it for a summer program, whether it's a clinic or a 1-week clinic or a 2-month clinic, would have knowledge that they have access to the fields by February 10th. So they're not waiting till the end of July to find out that they don't have the field.
I'm sorry, where are you on all this?
Under applications for periods and tentative schedules. So it'd be reservation.
So what are you asking to change things?
Well, if we kept it as it is, there's going to be a problem with this summer dates, because the application opens up the 1st of February, but the applications are due January 15th.
It might be a little bit of a problem.
And I'm suggesting, for those organizations that are planning a summer, and again, I'm looking at organizations which when we were doing the research for funding for the field house, the organizations I was talking to were asking that notification of space is given in a timely manner, so we're not waiting till a month before, because they need to do their advertising. So the summer program, if you're looking at any summer program that I've dealt with, we're accepting applications for participants in the fall, and we usually end in mid-January. So as a person running the summer camp, I want to make sure I have my space available by January, February, the latest. And that's what I'm suggesting we move it to.
Since I'm not sure how familiar you are with Rush's situation, is that something that you can answer to?
As far as concerning what?
Regarding the summer application, do you feel it should be early in the year, or is it a concern for you? Because I'm gonna ask the same thing with Rush as well in a second.
Earlier the better, so in that time frame to do it with the spring applications would be great.
Yeah, it's all done at once.
Is that a problem for you guys?
No, we don't have a ton of summer use.
Okay, just wanted to make sure ahead of time.
Appreciate you asking.
Any comments up here?
Can I ask one question?
Yes?
The online piece, the registration part, will that have a payment piece to it as well? Can you pay online or is it?
No, not yet.
We hope to, it's just, it'll be probably like phase 2 going through.
And we also, we haven't discussed it yet, but I'm thinking that just for the fall season, to have some redundancy, to have you guys register online, but also fill out a paper thing.
Sure.
So that way,
Test drive.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's learning curve big time. I haven't really figured out how it's gonna work with the way you guys reserve huge blocks of time, so we'll have to work on it together with Lindsay.
Okay.
Thank you.
It'll then give us the hours, we won't have that.
Is there something down the line, we could invite them to for lack of better terms, a training? Once you're comfortable with it and once he's
Pretty
comfortable.
self-explanatory how to
Yeah.
create an account and fill it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
just like any.
It's like,
After you create an account, can you delete an account? And the reason I'm asking is, if we were to ask our current permit holders, or regular holders, to set up a dummy account, just to go through it so they're comfortable with it, so it's not like they put an application in, and like you said, the redundancy is good, but just to practice going on, so if we're troubleshooting with a dummy, and my experience with many organizations is a lot of turnover, and the person who filled out last year may not be the same person filling out next year. So
yeah, I mean, I'll talk to, I'm really deferring to Lindsay on this, because she's the one that's gonna be managing it, not me. But it's not like we have 100 users,
Agreed.
we have 6. So I think we'll be able to figure it out pretty easily. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I think maybe I can do a dummy with Lindsay and kind of see how that works out.
Okay.
And it's not like she's gonna be managing 3 applications in the fall.
I'm inept with technology, so I don't want to assume everybody else has, is fluent, and something gets tripped up. I'd rather we keep working at it together, and that, like you said, have that paper trail for the first time, maybe even the second time, and just make sure everybody's comfortable, because hopefully new people coming online, like with the basketball court, that we have a fail-safe system in place.
We're happy to be a dummy program if you want lacrosse to go through it once. We're going through a change ourselves going into next year.
Didn't you guys have some kind of calendar online thing? I mean, back when
Yeah.
Galligan.
Everything's getting, our whole system is getting changed. It's not a choice. It's because the old system is now fading out and the new system is fading in. So we're going through a similar technology change on our end. So happy to dummy yours if that's helpful.
I gotta get in touch with them this week. Had our second, are we supposed to be talking about this right now?
What?
I think it's part of the application process, which is in this document.
Okay.
So we had our second training with, and Lindsay was on it, Faye was on it. So now I just have to circle back with my rec to see when they're gonna post it. And then, again, my goal is to defer to Lindsay on it and let her decide how it's managed, because she's gonna be doing it.
So, for those who don't know, we're using myrec.com as our organization. If you want to go out on their website, they do list some of the other towns that use their document, that service, and you can get a feel for what they're looking for. I went on to, was it Hamilton Wenham uses it?
I think so.
Yeah, and looked at their documents. Some of it's more for individuals as opposed to leagues, but it gives you a sense, and that way you can start looking at questions and how we can better assure that we're set up in a way that makes it a fluid application process.
We also did it, it's very vanilla, very basic. There's a lot more layers we could add to it, but first time out, we just kept it very straightforward, so.
I assume you guys tried to replicate what you had before, like on paper, and now digitally to make it as similar as possible to the.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically reserved per hour, and I haven't been on the user end to see if you can do huge chunks of time, or, you know, I gotta look at it more closely. We've just had training on the front end and training on the back end.
Yeah, what it does is it allows, or should allow, people to look at a general schedule and say, this is booked, this is booked, this is booked.
It's a drop-down menu, which field, you know, you choose your field, you choose your days. It generates invoices automatically. You have to upload your documents, like your Cory, and basically, like, some of these applications this spring have been late, even though you guys have been using the fields, and that won't be allowed. So, but again, I'm gonna defer to Lindsay in Town Hall for, I'm not gonna micromanage it.
Sure, so we're totally happy to do a beta test with you, 100% and run through it. And,
Yep.
you know, because our chunks are very long, you know, we reserve
It's one season that
opening
goes to-
field to, so
Yeah.
use this as a test on it, yeah, be happy to do that.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else, Mark, in that section?
With the electronic registration, no. And everybody's familiar with the fees and then the cancellation and refunds and all that stuff.
Okay.
Hey, did we have a question about what happened at the beginning of the spring this year?
Yes,
With-
there was concern, backing up, is the objective of the committee to have the fields available April 1st. That's conditional on the condition of the fields. Part of the problem is some of the fields might be saturated, and if you go to field 2 at the north end, it might be fine. So there, I believe, we're trying to defer to the users because you have a lot more at stake than we do about the use of the field and not using the fields. Because if there is excessive damage done on your part or the user's part beyond the normal wear and tear of a field, you'll be held responsible financially and may end up losing the field, access to the field. In years past, we've had to shut down the fields like one fall to reseed, and that's something we should be thinking about going forward, to get a better rotation in for reseeding one and resting one field completely one fall season. That tends to be the better season because of the demand of the fields in the spring. There was questions that was brought up about not using the field and having to pay for it. So do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're new to the process, so I assumed that the fields were closed, that we wouldn't be paying for the fields, so that we couldn't use
They
them.
were open though,
You
weren't they?
mean?
Yeah, we made an announcement, I forgot the date, of when the fields were open. But
It was April 1st, because lacrosse had asked for them beforehand, and
Yeah,
they
you
said,
tried to get it.
we can't technically start the season, if you guys are out there, that's one thing, but just realize it's gonna be careful.
Well, the question becomes, all right, A, we need to do a better job notifying people that the fields are open. I know I sent an email out to the group that they were officially open, but as an organization, on our website and make it pronounced, so in case I make a mistake sending emails.
So on the calendar,
On the
we can
calendar.
put bulletins.
Well, we gotta be careful the way it's worded. Again, well, fields are open for the season, that doesn't mean they're open every day. 'Cause if-
We can work out the wording. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is that we can put the bulletins on calendars.
Yep,
Places to put that in.
Mark, I think like my concern with the fields, and I don't know if it's the same issue concern, but like seasonality, we live in an area that has such vast changes in our seasons. 2 years ago, we had an extremely wet spring, and no way we could get on the field. This season, we happen to have a dry spring, right? And so the fields were open. So we want to make sure that we're aligned with the town. This year, I communicated to the town early, just to say, hey, can we get on there? It happened to be good weather, there was no snow. But understanding, we respect the fields, because we need them, big time in the spring. So we just want to make sure we have good alignment with you and understand, what is that process. And happy to, if we need to communicate at the beginning of our season to you, happy to initiate that as part of, whatever process you want us to go through. That's fine. But, it's important to us to get on the fields early, because we're managing a sport that trains in the winter and it goes into spring, and we have to come up with all kinds of contingency plans to use turf, indoor, and all those kind of things to get us up to speed, to be competitive teams, and compete against the area, and then transition to grass. So that's one of our challenges as a sport, and we really appreciate using the fields, and that's what we go through in the early season.
Yeah, for us, same thing, we didn't want to, for us, the first 2 weeks, we didn't use them, because we thought the fields were wet. We didn't want to tear the fields up. I mean, it benefits everybody involved for us not to do that. So we didn't use them the first 2 weeks. We went out actually and scrounged wherever we could find turf field, just kind of getting kids anywhere we could, to preserve the fields. I think it's everyone's best interest for us not to, tear them up week one, and then they're going to look like a nightmare the rest of the year. So I was not aware. I assumed since we were not using the fields, that we wouldn't pay for the fields those 2 weeks, but if that's the policy, it is the policy. I don't, whatever the decision is of the board, we'll abide by it. But we erred on the side of not using it to not tear the fields up.
So I guess the question is that we officially open it.
Which means it could be open at any day, it could be open at any time, because it could be open in the morning, and then the rain comes and we close, vice versa type of thing, so if it's draining off.
So again, in years past, what was happening pre-COVID, it was, and I remember this dance, DPW was the ones who were supposed to make the initial call. That hasn't happened in the last couple of seasons. We made the decision. And I like that we make it, because it's our responsibility, and working with our users, permit holders. Again, some of it is, I think it's between field 1 and 3, where the drainage is, it's excessively wet. So let's talk about not using that area. I know Triton Youth Soccer has been very diligent on days that, as stewards of the property, that they would move the goals around so you're not in the same spot, and take care of the fields and try to shift practices around. There's a part of me, I get all the signs. I'd like to have it opened up at a certain time, and then the daily using it, again, going back to what was happening, is during the week, because the conditions can change so fast, we're not going to say it's opened or closed, because we can have a thunderstorm at noon and your 3 o'clock practice is washed out. You have to have somebody on site and assess the situation. I know I've been at practices in years past, and the field is soaked, so we just moved to an off the field itself, and I was able to do something with the kids. And the weekend, soccer would send, and it was Greg, who would go down there at 6 o'clock in the morning and make that determination, so that particularly the Triton youth soccer teams could notify visiting teams in a timely manner that it's open. And I like that kind of, they took into account the current field conditions and the projected weather, and they make a decision. I think that works well. I wish we could have opened the fields up to everybody in late March. because they were available. And just understand that sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. And I don't know if that's something the board wants to consider, of opening it up, you know, for non-exclusive, not even exclusive groups. It's opened up like it would be for anybody else. You want your group to go up there, there's no guarantee the fields are available, but you can get the kids out playing. And or do we want to say the first 2 weeks, it's a crapshoot. And we'll officially open it the second week of April, but if the conditions are right, you can use the fields, but there's no guarantee that they are available, just like any other facility we have.
Are there any questions from you guys?
No, the only other comment I'd make is, here for us using them in late March, typically our littles that are going on the grass, because that's when there's daylight, and we're managing the older kids at other fields, at that time. So we're trying to be as diligent as we can to make sure we're not impacting the fields. And if there is an opportunity, that's great, but the last thing we want to do is not have the fields for June, like we did last weekend. Yeah, that's more important to us than it is the beginning.
So we will finish up our edits and formatting and stuff on this, and then get it over to council for their feedback, and then our final go-through based on their responses, and then once it's approved, we'll send it to the select board, and then make sure you guys all get copies of what's going on.
Could I just get a clarification? So the field is not open, or is it closed in April? Is that, how does that work? I'm trying to figure that.
No, it's open, it's
It's
April
open.
1st.
It's open, but
April
is
1st,
there
yes.
a chance?
The goal is to open April 1st, there's no guarantee. If there's a foot of snow on it,
Sure.
and again, it goes in here, we don't want people on it. We will make an announcement when they're open, when I'm gonna use the phrase, open for the season. That doesn't mean it's open every day.
Sure.
It's just conditions, you know, I've worked with people who do this, and they'll actually dig down to see what the moisture level is at 6 inches. You know, if it's still saturated, no, it's not. And kind of get an assessment of, will the turf at this point in time handle older, you know, we're going to assume everybody can use it, but I like the idea of younger kids using it the first couple weeks and giving it a little bit more time to grow. And then each day, it's dependent on the weather conditions and your coaches making the decisions. Again, I like the idea of the moving of the goals around so we don't wear down in one spot. If there's damages to the field, let us know so that we can do something. I know there's been divots that have been filled in. Gotta let us know so we can take care of the fields.
Okay.
From a payment standpoint, so if there is a foot of field of snow on the first weekend, and you're permitted for that time, are you still responsible for payment for that weekend?
Yes.
So that's the policy.
And that's one of the reasons we had the pricing schedule as we did. Is I know it stinks, but the other option is to have a higher rate.
That's fine.
And it's just one of those,
Yeah.
geez,
Yeah,
we want people in there, but you know, if you lose some bucks, sorry, but.
Again, the field's open, it's not on a daily thing, so, okay.
Can I ask one question? This is a general sports question for the town of Newbury, and youth athletics specifically. Has there been any talk in the town about, in the next couple of years, with inflation and everything going up for the cost of athletes getting into sports, is there any talk about the town to help supplement folks in any way, like that can't join youth sports clubs? We try to do a lot on our end just to provide gear, sticks, stuff like that. So there's no barriers. But with everything that's coming up, you look at the price of oil that's going to be this winter for these families, and families don't run the fridge. We want these kids to be part of the community now because it pays dividends later, especially in sports. I'm just curious to see if there's any talk in the town
So
about
this
the town
is,
supporting that
that's a
stuff.
great point to bring up, because it has not come across our purview yet. And I'm not opposed to that, I just don't know how that works with the town, with tri-town sports.
I don't know.
Because it
Yeah,
would,
I gotta
technically, we can't subsidize Raleigh Salisbury people.
Yeah.
Newbury Byfield, yes,
Yeah.
if we were gonna do something like that, so really,
And
then you walk into that situation where it's like, you have 4 members in your team that,
Yeah.
and you have kids here, some can, some can't. Are you proposing that same comment, so to Raleigh to Salisbury though?
Yeah, I'm really, it's just that.
Yeah,
just
so
open
we're here, and I
conversation
understand
was
that, I'm
that's
just saying,
all.
but that'd be a question that have to be proposed to all of us, and it may be something that have to be done between the three communities.
So I just see it all getting expensive, and then you see these kids that are already on the fringe, and how are those kids gonna get to participate, and that's not good for the community. if those
I mean,
kids
we've discussed, and we'll move on after this, is the fee structure was what it was for 12 years. And then we changed it 2 years ago, and we said we wouldn't touch anything for 2 years. And it's been a little over 2 years now, and we're doing this for the fall, provided we can get this all done in a timely manner. It was still well below what other groups and areas and stuff are doing, so, because we want to be conscious, one, of the weather situation that you dealt with, and also of all the users and everybody that's permit holders that are using the field, so we want to make sure, because we want them to play. And that's why when we did everything, it was with that intention. It was not to get rich by any means. It was to make sure that everybody has the ability to play and to do these things.
Yeah, I just feel like the economic situation's changed over the last 2 years. Which is super hard on you guys from starting
Oh, yeah.
playing 2 years.
I mean, we've been going with the same budget each year and trying to figure out what needs to get done, and, I mean, the two case in points, the two capital projects we did, we thought $200,000 would be enough for the field house, and we ended up doing almost $230,000.
Yeah,
The basketball court, we had to go back twice to do this, because what we thought with after hiring a consultant and what the cost of materials was, just, it killed us. It almost doubled our budget. So it's like, you gotta look into those things into consideration, and we certainly appreciate your situation, because that's the last thing we want people to be on playing. I mean, David texted me this week and said the fields and the courts were packed, and I'm like,
Oh,
it's
awesome.
great to see, because that was the whole
Yeah.
point behind it, so.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Now, with parking, a question, what do you guys do, is it just like everyone, and on a weekend like that, is it like wherever you can?
We did the best we could, and we
Yeah.
tried to pack it in. I think people actually were better this year than last year. We had nobody on the streets and no one around the back, and people kind of created an extra row within the
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
That organically happened, so
Okay.
like to be fully transparent with you. So.
Police were notified, they couldn't open the back gate because somebody had parked, they didn't want to open up the back gate because they thought somebody was parked in front of it.
Yeah, there was a car that was, yeah, I was gonna open it, but,
Yeah, I didn't have a key to let people back there.
okay,
Um,
I'll give you the key.
I'm not responsible enough.
You-
But maybe in the future, if you let us know in advance, we can.
If we
Yeah.
see something we're gonna have it, we're gonna need, then we can just do it.
Yeah, if we'd known, we'd make sure that that back gate was open.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really.
Um,
It worked out well this weekend, though. It was a great weekend.
Oh, crazy.
Basketball courts were packed as well as lacrosse.
Crazy.
But
Yeah.
soccer was there. It was great.
That's what we wanted, so.
The-
Ship,
Can we just, there's a conflict, because we do have it under new business, but we were also talking about this policy that we agreed upon for formatting on section 2, playing fields, part 3, I think.
I don't have it up.
Okay, well, basically it reads, soccer goal nets are private property, can be relocated and removed as needed. Lacrosse goals are private property, can be relocated and removed goal nets as needed. Permit holders are allowed to place goals on the fields 2 weeks prior to the rental period if the field conditions are acceptable. Goals are to be removed in a timely manner after the conclusion of the season. That's what we have written now.
that's correct.
Okay. And what does that mean? What does that look like for everybody? So we're all, with 2 out of the 3 parties here, we're all in agreement what that looks like.
The goals and stuff are off the field.
Yeah, we went through that last summer, the goals never left the field. And it looked like during the whole summer that there was something going on there. So people that were just driving by that maybe want to use the field, and I was the same way, I was like, there's something going on that I don't know about. So if there was nothing on there, people from town could go out and fly kites and stuff like that, and not think, oh, there's some kind of, I think the idea of having everything out in the middle of the field all summer long gives town people the impression that something's going on and they can't use it, so.
Is it permissible, because I know that at other towns, they leave goals up, not all of them, and I agree with you, Dave, that when there were 8 sets of goals up last year, it did look like it was congested and busy. Is it possible so that people can play a pickup game of soccer to leave one set of goals up on the soccer field, have one set of lacrosse goals up for the summer, so people can pick up games, families can go up there, practice. I know one of the families near me like to bring their daughter up to play goalie. You know, they don't have a goal in their backyard, there's one up there, which is 2 sets and that's it.
Well, how do you guys feel about it? Because they're your goals.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to leave a set of lacrosse goals up there. And for us, we'd love to, it's a bit of a pivot from the story, we'd love to have some kind of storage access where we could put goals, and we'd be happy to move goals in and out a bit more, even during season, smaller goals, safety equipment, first aid equipment, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, a set of goals so the community can play lacrosse, happy to leave one set, everything else for us goes back to storage.
That kind of fell apart last year. We were planning on getting space, and I think that DPW said there was space underneath the building. I will call, that's,
Please.
Is it for storage for end of season to the season for like the goals?
yeah,
As opposed to having access to, because they keep their mowing equipment down
yeah,
there.
it would be
Concerned with people
blocked up
coming out.
until the season started.
End of the season, put most of your goals in there, and then over winter they can be stored there. And if we did that for them, I think we would need to allow soccer
Yeah,
to
the smaller
put
ones.
soccer,
Yep.
not necessarily the goals, but
Yep.
the nets in there. If that's, we'd have to get permission from the board of selectmen or
Yeah,
select
the
board.
town administrator probably could do.
Okay,
We'd have to go through, make sure that the DPW is okay with it.
yeah.
Off the cuff, would there be any interest in putting like a container down at the bottom parking lot, like below?
Where the lights are?
Out of sight, out of mind, yeah, where the lights are for like sporting,
Equipment.
sporting equipment, and have a queue just for the, your sporting folks?
It's roughly about $100 a month to do something like that, so you're talking a $1,200 expense. Is that the committee would have to look at.
There's one for
No, but-
sale on Route 1.
Maybe, I mean,
Maybe
maybe
we
we
should-
can
we should go
donate,
buy
maybe
that
we
then.
can get some fundraising, I don't know. Get some fundraising, put some banners on it, I have no idea. But trying to utilize the space and maybe make it easier for all sports to store equipment, everything from,
As long as it's not taking up, our biggest concern then is you worry about the parking space, all of a sudden, is that gonna take up area? I don't think from where you're talking about it would be, but you never know at this point. It's just a question of getting in there and then getting access to it. We'd have to coordinate access, whether it's through the DPW, through the committee, through you guys, and who's gonna have keys and access to it and stuff, so. Well, certainly don't have a problem bringing it up. I can put it on the next agenda to see if we wanna put something like that together, so.
So, again, going back, just for my clarity, going back to number 3, what we wrote and what I'm hearing was somewhat different. Would it be permissible, and it doesn't have to be, it can be clear, I do know other fields that are empty, and I also know a number of fields do have, like Cherry Hill, in Newburyport, even in Mullen, but down by the Bresnahan, no, what's the middle school?
Bowling, knocking the bowling.
That field has their,
oh, Patriot.
has equipment up, so we need to figure out what we want to do.
It looks forward.
So do we want to have 2 goals for soccer?
One set of goals for soccer, one set of goals for lacrosse. Put them off onto either one side or the other, so the rest of the field's open, I mean.
So it'd be 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, or 2 and 4?
as far away as possible.
So I'd love to put them on
Try-
5,
we
because
tried
it's
to-
not like we're looking for, we're not looking to put them on, we're gonna have to rotate them anyway, because
Yeah.
you don't wanna have them on the summer being used on certain areas, but.
Let the DPW decide.
Yeah.
Based on their mowing, where
Yeah.
it needs to go.
Okay.
It really should come down to them, because they have to answer on this.
So. Anything else to add, Mark?
No, so again, just,
We'll be 4 minutes back up, we'll get it fixed. So the plan is,
no.
I'll finish the formatting and get it out to the group, also to to Tracy, and then have her get it over to town council. Hopefully we can get it back in time so we can try and vote it before the end of the month and get it done. If not, it'll go into the committee's work for July.
Let's just get it done so that.
Try-
I understand that. I would suggest to the parties here, and we'll notify Jason for Try to Do Soccer, plan on this happening with the new fee schedule for the fall.
Yep.
We may not get the paperwork done tomorrow, but the goal is to have the new fee schedule and the new dates all set. So even if it comes out in August, that's what, please expect to be paying that amount. Can we, gentleman's agreement type thing, or?
You're clear.
Okay.
Okay. Next thing on the agenda is the fence around the backside of the basketball court. I did reach out to Tracy after our last meeting. She talked to DPW. They had asked and wanted to know if we'd be interested in a split rail fencing to help them with mowing instead of going with a chain link. I had asked her, I said, was she talking about them installing it, and if so, can we get an idea what it is? I have not got a response back from her. That was on the 24th, so I will respond back. I will ask if she can give me an update, and we'll see what we can do from there. But the idea was, they were looking at that. I was hoping if they could do it, it would save us, because we know we have $9,000, we can't go beyond that. That was what's left of the budget. Yeah, the end of the month, before we have to redo it, depending on how we do it. A split rail fence, I sent an email just asking, she said to me, in speaking with James Surratt, he was warning that the committee would be opposed to a split rail fence instead of a chain link. He knew that would be easier for the maintenance purposes. Is something you guys maybe consider? And I had asked her, I said, do you think he would install it? And if so, did he have an estimate? Or is this an ask for convenience to maintain? I can bring up during the meeting on the 6/6. So I just need to know if they're able to do it.
How do you feel about a split rail fence, I guess?
That's part one, and then part two is how much is it compared to, it would most likely be less than the
I don't
$5.99.
think the price is a concern at this juncture. First of all, do we want, is that something we want? Number two, I do know that one of the reasons we were pushing for the fence, I remember Dave saying that he was worried about the balls coming through, and that's why we needed to have such a big fence. Just so you're aware, what we're talking about is putting the fence on the backside towards the fields of the basketball court. Some of it is to slow kids down so they don't fall off the edge even, and to keep the balls from rolling into the area. So and that's, the timeline is only if you want to use the funds that had been appropriated for it. We will have funds for next year.
Yeah.
So if it's a time-sensitive stuff, you know, and they may not be able to get it, or they can get this. If we do go with it, we can get the supplies now, and they can. If they were to build it, they could do it at a later date.
So do you want a split rail fence or not?
I personally think the split rail, I mean, it's kind of like, it defeats the purpose of the balls and the stuff going into the court. It does prevent the kids from running into it because they're not gonna run unless they could duck underneath it, but they're not gonna, they'll still be independent and
Yeah,
stuff.
a split rail fence is usually pretty close to the ground, and it, you know, like unless you're kicking the ball, which and has height on it, it's going to go over that chain link anyway.
Yeah.
Chances are the rolling ball is going to stop at the edge. That's what my thought would be.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, if they can also do it, if they also can do it a lot less expensive, we're all for it.
Yeah.
Well, how do you guys that use the fields, do you find the balls going into the basketball courts at all?
Do you see anything with that?
You're not during the games, because during the games, all the shots are down the other way, right? And where we do have two lateral courts with blue guys, it's up in the front field. So you're not seeing shots come at speed near those fields. My son was playing on basketball after the cross too, and I didn't see too much.
Okay.
Too much coming out.
All right.
So
If the
if,
kids can kick the ball that far, sign them up.
Yeah.
so if the DPW is able to purchase and install it, and they can do it under the $9,000 budget, I would say yes, I'm all for it, but again, it's a committee decision, so.
So you need to vote on it.
So, do I hear a motion to accept a split rail fence in lieu of the existing chain link fence that we currently have?
I make a motion that the Recreation Committee ask DPW to install a split rail fence as outlined in the original plans at a cost of no more than $9,000.
Second.
Hold on.
Any discussion regarding this?
I have a question about the funding number you just put on. So this $9,000, you want it not to exceed that?
That's
Not to exceed $9,000. That's how much you said we had.
that was the balance of what we had on the project, due to the money and stuff. It was like 9142 is what we had left on that, what was the original process, which was the original budget of it. When we came in, we were under it, and we knew we had just enough, so we decided anything under 9,000 was the number we agreed upon previously.
And materials cost won't exceed, if it's, I don't know if it's free labor, but materials cost won't exceed that
Yeah.
$9,000. They're probably around 2-3.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I've been pricing.
Because I was gonna say, if you have any money left over in your operating, in your,
Which we do.
Yeah.
Again, if we want to use that Palo funding, which has a time constraint to it, we could use that first and foremost. If not, we do have appropriations for FY '23
Okay.
that we can have.
Yeah.
The point being is,
It'll go up, it's just a question of do we get it in one year or the other, depending on how it's done.
Yeah.
okay,
As long as we get the approval and they can buy the stuff, then we can put it in this year and get it done.
okay.
Hearing our motion, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Okay. I'll circle back with you on that.
Wow, why'd they do that? It was just like. Plan for the Central Street field, did you ever get in touch with Chris?
No,
no, I tried, got nothing. I wasn't
Okay.
aggressive about it, I could put more effort into it, I was away from
What's
it.
up with that? Your vacation?
I have no idea, he's been like that for a while, so I mean,
I
I tried a couple times before that too, I was just wondering, is that a polite way to say he's not interested?
no.
Or-
Well, if, the question is, do we want to hire him as a consultant, which is a money issue? Or are we asking him to talk to us for free?
No, we offer.
We paid the last one.
Yeah, we paid
If
it.
he comes in and has an idea what he's looking for.
The question is, do we want to talk to him, or do we want to engage him in services and pay him, and for which fiscal
Yeah.
year? So then that's a different conversation. We can say, we'd like to hire your services for a consultation for this, and have to.
Find out what he's gonna charge us to do this.
Well,
And we're probably talking, I mean, realistically, I mean, it's, give us an idea, plan what you think the field, best way to use of the field in project, and then, I mean, keep it up to under 5, because we paid him 9 for the basketball court.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was
I
managed
think
the
what we're
project
just
too.
looking for is like a blueprint of what we can and can't do in that area.
With ideas of what we want
Yeah,
and where he thinks the best layout is.
Well, again, I do wish we would consider also developing Kent Way. I don't know if anybody here goes up to the fields during the summer on a regular basis. It is hot and it's windy. I know during the spring it's that way. It's nice during the fall, but it's hot and windy. And how much investment we want to have up there, as opposed to property that the town did purchase behind here that was scheduled for, at one point, 5 basketball courts, 3 baseball fields, and other stuff. And this is,
So, yeah, so first of all, you gotta find out if you can get in touch with Chris.
that will happen.
And then you just need to come up with a plan. I think if we have, I think the goal is to identify and lay out a plan for recreational opportunities for the town of Newbury.
That's
Period.
okay.
And then whether it's the elderly, whether it's council on aging, whether it's, preschool kids or youth sports, activities, or just to have a plan. And then the town can pick it off, I don't know if they call it, but eat at it a little bit at a time and then
But a
develop
comprehensive
it.
plan for the town as opposed to just Central Street.
Well, that's true, but we can't do it all at the same time.
Agreed, but the plan should not be, in my estimation, for Central Street with the ignoring of property the
No.
town has here
No, no.
or
Yeah.
all the way on the Cape.
And there's Plum Island, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we can,
Yes.
we
But
can
part of
do.
that had to do with the fact that there was the federal funding coming down, and there was the timeline for that.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
What about the
Federal
money you
funding.
got?
The ARPA money?
Yes,
Yeah, well, ARPA monies have to be spent before, you have to expend them all before the 2024,
Yep.
or they revert back.
So that's not an issue if we look at a comprehensive plan for the whole town.
But I mean, I would chunk it, and I'd start with here,
Yep.
and then there, and then,
I will write to Chris, explain to him what we're looking for in terms of his services. and CC everybody, and we'll get this ball rolling, and we'll have something in place by the end of July.
Just be careful when you CC everybody that you're not deliberating, that's the only thing, I don't like CCing everybody that it could be misconstrued.
It's not deliberation, I'm informing people of the conversation I had with Chris.
As long as nobody responds to it. That-
Exactly.
The guidance that we get from the Division of Open Government is not to CC everybody on boards and committees because it can be construed.
Okay.
That's all.
Point taken.
The chair is one thing, you know, copy the chair, and then you come back to the committee and then you can report to the whole
Okay.
committee.
All right, thank you, Mark. Update on the calendar and the training, we've talked about that, you guys are working towards that, we had a successful second session, and then we'll hopefully be engaging the groups, our permanent holders in a soon date. Okay. Basketball court signage,
My fault.
okay, you guys an update next time?
Can we try and get it for fiscal year this year?
Yes, you sent me, I believe you sent me
Yes.
the information, and for some reason I can't open,
Can you copy and paste it, just put an email?
I did.
No, not, instead of an attachment, just put it in the thing.
yeah, because I,
Yes, I can do that.
And the last thing, the only thing we had on new business we've already discussed, that was regarding the communication regarding the goals, which we've decided on.
okay. Because he said, DPW said that he would take care of it, we just needed to give him the info, and my plan was to send him the info, and I couldn't bring it up because it's not your fault, it's this.
I won't go there.
David, I'm sending it to you.
All right. So the next question is, the last thing on the agenda before we call the meeting is, do we want to then meet before the end of the month? The last meeting for the month, if we were going to do anything, is the 27th. The select board meets on the 28th. I will not be in town that week, so if we're going to meet, you guys can certainly do it. I will not be here.
It's all contingent on whether the town council can
Get the thing back,
get the thing back, yeah.
the format.
I have no reason, well, the way this is written, that there's gonna be any significant changes.
Okay.
It's formatted and the additions have been put in. It should be pretty straightforward. Any changes you made, you should be able to look at and just,
Just a question what's on our plate right now, and I don't know.
LLORB.
All right, so we will
What date?
tentatively plan a meeting. Again, if you guys want to have it the 27th, you can, I just won't be here. I'll,
Well, the 27th, it'll be too late to get it on the board.
well, we can put it on, if we think we got it back in time, I'll get it put on the agenda ahead of time,
Okay.
contingent that we approve it the night before.
Okay.
Um, But that'll be,
Because I
So-
don't think we're having another meeting, honestly, until July 26th, unless there's a lot of
Ah, thank you.
items
no,
that we
that's,
have.
that's the select board she's referring to, not us.
No, I'm talking.
Oh, okay, so you got it, okay.
Unless there's something that else that comes up that the board needs to meet for, I'm hoping to only have one meeting in July and one meeting in August.
Okay.
Hope is the key word.
Pending how this goes, then, just a reminder for members on the board, if you haven't already and you're interested in serving for another year, please submit your application to the town because it still has to be approved by the select board at their last meeting so they can get you sworn in for the following year. Lucian, one, congratulations, I can say this officially on TV, congratulations on your high school graduation, best of luck at college going through. Thank you very much for your year of service with the board and everything went on, so it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
You built us out of a few things here that there's no way we would have got it done, so thanks.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
we use the youth's technology.
I hope whoever is interested
Expertise.
next, which we're fortunate enough to have someone with us,
How does
is
Google
very
work?
tech savvy because it certainly makes our life a lot easier.
So thank you for stepping up.
If anybody else is interested that's from the town of Byfield, Newbury that wants to join the select board, join the recreation committee, please see Alicia.
Send an email to the town of Newbury.
Yes, and they will
Okay.
consider that point because I know we'll have some people coming on and off it depending on the year goes, so.
And this is gonna be a good year, because you guys are gonna have put together a plan, hopefully. Recreational opportunities.
Well, that's the plan.
So,
We are scheduling the meeting on the 27th contingent on whether we get, and that's, I should say, that's the question, because like I said, if it's the 27th, I will not be here. If you wanted me here, it'd be the week before.
Yes, well, the whole idea is to pass
The-
this document,
Yeah,
and that's all, so.
so as soon as I get, I know I got 2 things going on the next 2 nights, so I'll try to get this over to, legal before Thursday. So they can hopefully get that in, so I will, as soon as I get feedback, I'll make sure everybody's copied and see if there's any way that they can expedite it for us, so we can try to get it in before the end of the year. And if they're
all
able
you
to
need
do
is
it,
48 hours to post a meeting and call it, so.
so, but if
So
we get it to
we're
that
saying
point,
either the,
20th or the 27th. Schedule for anybody problems on those days, I'm okay the 20th, I'm not for the 27th.
I have no idea, so.
The
Okay.
20th, town hall is closed.
Yeah, that's a holiday.
for what holiday is that?
Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Oh, forgot about that. I was thinking the 19th, and it's a little bit
Right
more.
now.
So we'd have to have it on the Tuesday, the 21st. So it's either 21st or the 27th, and I will let you know. If we get it back in time, we'll do it. If not, then it'll get moved into the next fiscal year. Do I hear a motion to adjourn at 7:15 PM?
Can we add one thing to the agenda for next, not the next meeting, but the following meeting?
Which following meeting?
The next one, when we reconvene in July, not for the one that's gonna be dedicated
All right,
to
so hold on.
approval in this.
The next one is the policy. I mean, if that's all it is the policy guidelines and possibly the fence, those and,
That's it.
signs. These meetings will not be long in that regard, so. 6:21 or 6:27. And the meeting after that in July, you're talking
We have
about?
the first meeting when we reconvene, to speak about plumbing water at the field house, replacing the faucets with maybe a motion sensor, heat sensor, or automatic shutoffs, because we've had issues with the water running in the bathrooms overnight, and it would be great if we didn't waste water, maybe put in a bottle filler instead of in addition to the bubbler, have where the kids could put their water thingy in one of those. But I would be asking the permit holders to kind of help us look at the bathrooms at the conclusion of their practice, that they're neat. If there's a problem, let us know.
It's on the list. I'll certainly make sure it's relayed. Any other comments, questions? Do I hear a motion to adjourn at 7:16 now?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:16.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, everybody.